to Inside the Mind, the official podcast of Missouri S&T Athletics. Patrick Murphy here with you again, as always. Going to be talking with new Missouri S&T men's swimming coach Danny Murphy on the show today. But before we get too much further, we want to let you know this episode of Inside the Mind is sponsored by S&T Corporate Club member St. James Golf Club. We want to thank them for their membership in the S&T Corporate Club and support of minor athletics. Also, before we get into today's show, if you could please be a friend, tell a friend about it as we continue to tell the stories and talk with Missouri S&T student athletes, staff, administrators, alumni, and more. And don't worry if you've missed any previous episodes, including Season 1 and the first few episodes of Season 2. All previous episodes of Inside the Mind are archived online. Head to minorathletics.com, look under the Fan Zone tab, look for the Inside the Mind podcast. All previous episodes are archived there, along with links to all platforms where this show is available, including YouTube, Spotify, Google Podcasts, TuneIn, and Deezer. Also, for those of you who may have watching along, there's a little bit of a little fun sign game I've been playing here over my right shoulder the last couple weeks. You may notice it's a little bit different, as thanks to the Memories Missouri S&T. There's going to be a little bit different voice on Inside the Mind moving ahead in these next coming episodes. I've been the host of this show since day one, and this is going to be one of the final episodes I'll be a part of, as I will be moving on to a new opportunity elsewhere, still staying in college athletics, but thank you all for taking time to listen with us on this show. Without your support, we wouldn't be able to keep doing this and telling the amazing stories of everybody here at Missouri S&T. I hope you've enjoyed listening along, and we appreciate your support as always. Joining us on the show today, he's another first-time guest, and he's entering his first year as head coach of S&T Swimming after taking over for the recently retired Doug Grooms. Former student athlete at Missouri S&T, was a highly decorated competitor in the pool before transitioning to coaching from the pool deck. First in Rolla before making stops at Missouri State, Nova Southeastern, and Wheeling. He has one of the finest mustaches you will find in all of the city of Rolla. Please welcome Danny Murphy to the show. Danny, thanks for stopping by, taking time. I know official practice for swimming hasn't started quite yet, but how are we doing so far?
Thanks for having me, Patrick. We're doing great. Yeah, our first practice is Monday of next week. We're really looking forward to it, and got a great team. I think we're going to have a great year.
It's awesome. We love to hear. It's weird having another Murphy in the athletic department, but I'm not all that surprised. There was a lot of Murphys. I know this was a thing when I went to school. There was a lot of Murphys when I was in school here. Was there a lot of Murphys when you were in school here too, or is it just?
Yeah, quite a few. I think there was. I think I knew 3 or 4. A few were in the athletic department, and the other ones were just classmates. So.
Yeah, I know. It's funny. Always, like, you go to type in the directory, and it's just always a bunch of them show up. And I anywhere I've been, it's always like I'm never the only one. I'm always like 4 or 8 or whatever, like the random number that gets slapped on the back of your randomly generated email address. But we'll go ahead and jump into the conversation here today. First question I want to ask you, just how does it feel to be back in Rolla after all these years?
It feels incredible to be back. It's awesome just being back, going to the places where I've been before, getting to see how Rolla has changed and evolved in the, I think 10 years since I've left here. So it's been really good, but great getting to go back to old places, see old friends, and it's, within the athletic department and in the community itself.
I know the town is probably definitely different than it was, when you were in school here. I know just the couple of years I've been gone and the time I was in school here, it's night and day different. Of course, the construction never changes. There's always something tore up in Rolla. It feels like, be it in town or on campus, and it's more evident than ever with all the road work they're doing on Highway 63 with the new university arrival district. But yeah, I know it's changed for me. What's one of the biggest things you've noticed as far as changes go?
Just some of the changes in downtown, the new restaurants and stuff that they've had there. I'm a Texan originally. I love me some Cajun food. They opened up a Cajun restaurant downtown that I've hit up a few times since I've been here, so that's been pretty nice.
I think I may have. What's the name of that place?
I think it's Red's.
I saw. I was going downtown for something. I think it was when I went to Soda and Scoops. That little ice cream parlor kind of on the corner, and I saw a new sign. I was like, I don't remember that being there before, and I was wondering what. It's like, okay, obviously, giant red crab, hanging off the side of a building. It's a seafood joint, but I didn't realize what exactly it was. But I might have to try to hit that up before I'm out of town. We'll go ahead and start at the beginning. What was it about Missouri S&T that attracted you to come here as a student athlete to extend your athletic career and also your academic career?
I mean, big thing, whenever I was going into high school or coming out of high school, I thought I was going to be an engineer. That was kind of what the thought was. And whenever I was looking for schools that had engineering, S&T was always at the top of the bunch. And then I also fit in very well as an athlete here. Then I actually had a good friend from high school by the name of Jay Murphy. Another Murphy, of course.
Of course, right?
Yep. He was a senior when I was a freshman in high school. Was a great influence on me. Great swimmer, great person. And whenever it was going into my senior year, he gave Coach Grooms my information, and he was able to call me up and convince me. So.
Did you say you graduated in high school? You knew engineering was something you wanted to pursue. Like, how early on did you realize that? I know we've had some other current athletes or alums on the show, and like asking them like, when did you want to be an engineer? How soon did you know that was what you wanted to do?
Honestly, kind of going into my senior year of high school, I had a great physics professor by the name of Mr. Ashworth, great mustache as well, and he was a great teacher, and I learned a lot from him. And my parents said, "Oh, if you like physics, maybe you like engineering," and went into that, and I was kind of sold.
Right on. Tell us real quick, just kind of briefly, what was your experience like as a student athlete here? Obviously, being a student athlete anywhere comes with with challenges, but here especially even more so, just because of the nature of the academic work that comes with being a Missouri S&T student.
I mean, whenever I came here, it took me a while to transition and really figure out how to be a great student. I'm sure a lot of people come to college and think that they can do just kind of the same stuff they did in high school, and they're going to skate along the same they did in high school.
Everybody has to figure. They get through that first test, and they're like, oh, wait a minute, I have to learn how to study.
Yep, it was the Calc 1 test, and I finished it, and I remember they gave it back to me in the recitation class, and I was like, oh.
So this is what this is.
So.
I mean, obviously you made those adjustments and were able to, complete a successful career. What did you get your degree in here?
I ended up actually just getting a general studies degree. Okay. I never was able to finish my engineering, but.
Hey, there's no shame in that. I figured out after 3 semesters I couldn't do calculus. Engineering wasn't going to work out for me. I ended up getting a business degree and a master's in information science, and it's worked out pretty well so far. When you're, competing as a student athlete and everything, obviously, once you come into the end of your career, you're looking at what's next. How did you decide to get into coaching? And, once you got into it, how did you decide that was the career that you wanted to pursue?
It started just kind of as a way to make ends meet. So basically I finished my college career of swimming, and I think like a week afterwards, Coach Grooms called me up and said, I know you have another year left of school, and the Rolla Finn Swim Club, which was a club's team here in town, are looking for an assistant coach. Are you interested in joining? So I'm like, okay. Yeah. So I go and I get the job. Then a couple months after that, their head coach was a high school teacher, and he couldn't do it anymore with everything. So he left, and then they elevated me to the head coach, and I figured out that I was pretty good at it. And I really, really enjoyed doing it. So that's kind of how it happened. It wasn't something I had intended, but it's just something I fell into and I fell in love with.
Sure. It's always kind of, interesting to just kind of see how everybody ends up and, just where, like whether it be how they ended up at Missouri S&T as a student or just how, in your instance, how you ended up in coaching. Walk us through your journey around the country. We mentioned in the intro you've been in a few different places. Just kind of walk us through where you've been and kind of talk about what you really enjoyed about each place and what each of those stops meant to you.
I mean, my first coaching job ever was here in Rolla. After I was done with swimming, I just coached. I was just the head coach of the club team for about a year. I did that, enjoyed that, and then beginning of I think the 2015 season it was. I might be not remembering the years right. Might have been 14, but Coach Grooms.
They all run together after a while, right?
Exactly. But Coach Grooms sat me down and said, you're here, you're coaching. I always need help at practice. Would you be interested in being a volunteer assistant for me? And that was kind of a life-changing moment for me, to be honest with you. And so I said, okay. So I showed up to every single practice, the 5:45 a.m.s, 5 days a week and everything. And, that really gave me a lot of confidence working with, some really, really good swimmers like Johnny Glauser and Miguel Chavez, who are still on the record boards upstairs, and that they listened to me and I helped motivate them. And it really got me some confidence that maybe this is something that I'm good at and I can do as a career. And so I did that for 2 seasons, and then I got the opportunity to continue club coaching, and I moved down to Springfield. I was the head coach of Missouri State Aquatics down there, which is a club team of around 120 people, which was
It's a large team. Yeah.
Yeah. It was about 4 times the size of the team I was currently coaching with the Finns. And then I also got the opportunity to work with Dave Collins and Chelsea Dirksham, who are the coaches there at Missouri State, and I was a volunteer assistant there as well. And I learned an awful lot there, had a lot of fun, learned from some great coaches, got to see a couple of national team level swimmers swim. Uvi Kalnins, who was there, he was Olympian for Latvia, and just getting to watch him swim every day was a lot of fun. The way he moved through the water was really cool.
I'm sure just watching people who are just like on a different level. It's in any sport, be it swimming or baseball or basketball or football, and like just seeing somebody knowing that they're that person and just knowing that they're just built differently.
But yeah, after that, I was there for 2 seasons, had a lot of fun. But in the back of my mind, since I had started, or since Coach Grooms had asked me to be a volunteer assistant, I had always been, I want to be a full-time college assistant. And I had, been a volunteer assistant for 2 years and really enjoyed it. But I wanted to kind of be able to make more of a direct impact on the team, especially with the recruiting and all that kind of stuff. Then I applied, and I got hired at Nova Southeastern University down in Fort Lauderdale, Florida.
Sunshine State Conference. It's a great place to be at. Yeah, I was over at Embry-Riddle. Doesn't have a swimming team there, but still familiar with the league. Very, 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 very tough league. Very, very competitive league.
Yes. Other than the GLVC that we're a part of, I'd say they're probably the toughest swim conference out there. So, I moved down to Fort Lauderdale, Florida. Worked with Ben Hewitt down there. He's an incredible coach. He's really brought that program. It went from being a really, really great program to an elite one. They've earned a lot of trophies in my time there and since. But I went down there. I got to really learn how to recruit. First year there, I was just men. Then afterwards, I started working and recruiting women as well, and got to coach all sorts of groups. It was one of the things where I couldn't really see the forest for the trees at the time, but I really appreciate what Ben did for me with everything that he taught me to do. The first year there, I coached the sprinters, and I thought I did a good job of that. He was like, okay, Danny, next year you're going to coach the distance swimmers. I'm like, okay. And I did that, and I think I did a pretty good job there. Had some really great swims. Then the year after, he's like, Danny, you're going to coach the middle distance swimmers now. And I'm like, I thought I was doing a good job. Why am I getting moved around?
Why do I keep? What's wrong? Why do you?
But he really did an incredible job of prepping me to be a head coach, and because whenever you're at a place like where I was at before Wheeling or here at MST, I'm the head honcho. I'm kind of have to have my hands or my fingers in every pie, and he, through letting me work with every single group, really prepared me well to do it. So forever going to be grateful to Ben. He definitely was an incredible boss with that. So.
Right on. What does it mean to you to be able to come back to a place that it obviously means a lot? It's your alma mater. Not a whole lot of people get the opportunity to come back and work at theirs. I know. I wasn't expecting the opportunity to be able to do it when I came back, but it's such a special feeling, and to be able to take over a program that you were a part of, and to be able to take over from Doug Grooms, who was a big factor in how you got to this point in your career. What does that mean to you?
It's huge. I don't mind saying, outside of my immediate family, my mom and my parents and my brothers, I think Coach Grooms has probably had the biggest impact on my life of anyone. He shows me basically twice to be an athlete for him, to be his successor, and it's just been a tremendous honor. I know I have huge shoes to fill. Maybe not physically because I'm a lot taller than him, but definitely, it's just what he's done, the respect that all of his peers have for him. It's, no one talks about S&T without saying, oh, it's incredible what he was able to do there. And just that he had the faith in me to entrust me with this position, and all the incredible men that he's recruited to the team this year, it just means the world to me.
Yeah, no, 3 decades of service during his time here. Started as an assistant football coach, and then transitioned his way over to the pool deck full time as an assistant, and then taken over for Mark Mullen as the head coach. In pretty regular contact with him, picking his brain.
Yes,
just every day.
Yeah, at least once a week. I talk to him. We have a great relationship. I don't golf, but if I did, I'd probably be trying to go up there and golf every chance I could with him. So
that's what retirement is good for. I'm sure Doug's out chasing some golf balls at least a couple times a week. Doug, if you're listening, we appreciate you and hope you're doing good. Danny, I want to ask you this, and I try to make a point of asking. Most everybody that comes on the show, coaches, student athletes, alumni, whoever it may be. What is it about Missouri S&T that makes it such a special place to be a part of?
I would just say the community of it. It's, in swimming and in a lot of sports, there's always people bond through shared suffering a little bit. You're in the pool, your head's in the water 20 hours a week, you're in the weight room, you're working hard, you're exhausted. And there is that at S&T too, not suffering, but shared hardship with how hard engineering is and how everyone here really kind of gets each other. It's my team is a microcosm of it. We got 21 men, 19 of them are engineering students, and the other 2 are science students. And it's really like that pretty much everywhere here. Everybody knows how to work hard, and everyone knows that everyone else is working hard, so they really do a great job of uplifting each other and, empathizing with each other. And you don't see that at everywhere. Sometimes you'll go and see a bunch of snarky engineers, yelling at the art majors for not being for it not being a legit degree or something. But you don't have that here. Everyone seems to empathize with each other.
One thing I do want to ask you about this, I know, myself being an alum and being a part of the baseball team for 6 seasons when I was in school here and everything else, being in the trenches with the student athletes here, as someone who went to school here and understands what it means to be a student athlete here and to get a degree from here, do you think that allows you to kind of relate better to your athletes?
It does. I have shared experiences with everybody on the team other than the freshmen this year. All of us did Coach Grooms practices, and I'll say a set name, and the Forward IM group, which I was a part of, their eyes will just light up. They know what the USC set is and how miserable it is and how much better it makes you. So, one of the biggest things I was excited about joining was that I was going to bring continue a lot of the traditions that we had whenever I was a student athlete, whether that be, different sets. We have a thing called Sprint King where you swim a 50 of each stroke and 100 IM, and we did that every year, and the winner is the Sprint King, and, the loser, the Sprint King gets to talk down to for a little bit and stuff like that. So it's just stuff like that I'm so glad to be a part of again.
Couple questions left before we get wrapped up here. Going into your first season this fall, what is one thing that you're looking forward to most about this upcoming 2022-2023 season?
Just the level of competition that I'm going to be swimming against. Like I said earlier in the interview, the GLVC is by far the best conference in Division II swimming. We have to swim against the top 3 teams in our conference were numbers 2, 3, and 4 in the entire nation last year.
Some pretty good competition.
Yeah. So just getting to compete against the best. It's one of my old one of my old mentors used to say, if you want to be the best, you got to compete against the best in the best possible time. And we really get a chance to do that here, and I'm really looking forward to it.
Final question. I always like to try and end these interviews with something fun. What is your favorite memory from your career, or memories from your career? Could be from when you were a student athlete, could be from when you were a coach, could be, a couple from, a student athlete or a coach.
My favorite student athlete memory, definitely my favorite one was from my freshman year of swimming at NCAA's, and I didn't have a great meet. NCAA's my freshman year, so I was pretty disappointed at that. I had one really good swim, but I get 4 swims and 3 of them weren't great. Yeah. But despite that, going into the finals, we were only a few points out of second place, and we had more final swims. And just kind of as the session went, we got more and more swims, and just it was getting louder and louder and louder. It was a home meet. It was up at Mizzou. We were hosting it, and Drury wasn't first. It was an insurmountable lead. We were in third, and I don't remember the team that was second place, but and just as the session went on and on and on, we were just catching up to him. And after, I think it was the 200 breast, we'd put 2 guys in the top 8. Zlatan Hamzic, Hall of Famer, got second place, which was the highest ever individual place that anyone ever had until the following year where we won it. But basically we won it, and there's always a break before the final relay, and Coach brought us all in. He's like, okay, guys, all you have to do is not disqualify, and we win. So we swam, and we had the slowest ever, relay reactions. But despite that,
you didn't get DQ'd.
Yeah, didn't get DQ'd. Everyone on the team was freaking out. This little team from S&T, where all of us were engineers, ended up getting number 2 in the country. And it was just awesome to be a part of that team, be able to contribute some points, and it was so much fun. I'll never forget it.
Being able to compete on that national stage is always a special thing. I know when baseball made their run in 2016, we were 2 wins away from going to the World Series in Cary, and our run through, we dropped our first game, but just working our way through the losers bracket, and not Quincy was hosting the regional that year. We beat them. We eliminated them. We beat Grand Valley, stayed on a walk-off. We beat Ashland. It was one of the best power-hitting teams in the region. But just being able to compete on that stage and be a part of that experience is just something that's super, super special and super unique to be a part of. And you definitely cherish those moments and just that whole experience. But I appreciate you sharing us with that. That was a great story. I can see the more you dove into that, the more those emotions kept coming back. But yeah, Danny, I appreciate you taking time to stop by and chat with us. I know we're recording this during the first week of classes. Got the official fall practice coming up next week. But thank you so much for stopping by. It was great to chat with you. Hopefully everybody that's watching, listening along, it's a good introduction to you and kind of what to look forward to and what to be excited about during this 2022-2023 season. Appreciate you. Good luck this season, and we'll be sure to see you around.
Thanks, Patrick. Appreciate it.
Head men's swimming coach Danny Murphy joining us here on this episode of Inside the Mind. That'll help us get wrapped up. Again, we want to let you know this episode presented by S&T Corporate Club member St. James Golf Club. I want to thank all of you for taking a little bit of time to spend part of your day with us. We appreciate your support as always. Don't forget to subscribe to the show wherever you may follow along. If you missed any episodes previously, be sure to head to the Fan Zone tab of MinerAthletics.com. Look for the Inside the Mind podcast. All previous episodes are archived there, again, with all the links to this platforms where the show is available, including YouTube, Spotify, Google Podcasts, TuneIn, and Deezer. It's been an absolute pleasure to be able to spend all this time with you. Thank you all again for taking time to listen. And one final time, cheers, and go Miners.